guys, it's Di from BeingMommywithStyle, and today I have another review from our most recent trip to Walt Disney World in fall 2020. So this was our first trip back after they have reopened, and today we're going to talk all about our dining experiences and what we thought about the different dining. So I talked a little bit about this in my overall recap video, but it was requested for me to specifically talk about the reservations that we got, what we thought about those reservations, and also just about dining in general. So that's what we're gonna do today. And normally I do have separate videos on each of the dining experiences, especially character meals, because we tend to do a number of those on our previous trips. Obviously not on this trip. It was kind of a different trip and a different sort of feel and different sort of planning that went into this trip. But for character dining experiences, I especially like sharing those so you can see what characters are going to be there, what it really feels like. People really like searching those out to get information, so I feel like those are super helpful. I didn't really video these specific experiences that we had on this trip with the intent of doing a standalone video on just the dining experience. So I'll just kind of share some clips from our experiences in this video, and hopefully it'll give you an idea of what those dining experiences were like. So we did do a few dining reservations, and prior to the trip, I had already reserved a lunch at Sanaa at Kidani Village Animal Kingdom Lodge. We had eaten there before, so we kind of knew what we were going to be getting into. This one was kind of more for the animal watching and being at the lodge and kind of seeing how it was in current conditions, just kind of for the fun of it, and we liked the food there. We also had a reservation at Edison at Disney Springs. We have never eaten there before, so I wanted to try it. I wanted to see the vibe. It had that like really cool industrial vibe. So I wanted to see that in person and check that one out. We loved the vibe and the music they played there. Just a little pre-spoiler. And then we also had a reservation at Tony's. Now, Tony's inside Magic Kingdom is one of those restaurants where at least it really seems polarizing. Like people really like it and enjoy it, or they really don't for whatever reason. And I think that in the current time period, it's pretty consistent. We really enjoyed the food, and I'll share a little bit more about our experience. So those were the three that we already had booked prior to our trip. Now, when we were there, I talked a little bit about mobile ordering, and I have a separate video on that you can check out. And mobile ordering worked really, really well. We just encountered one of the nights because all the parks were closing early, and so they'd all be closed, and it would push everyone back to the resorts. Pop has one of the largest room numbers and the largest capacities right now. So obviously there was a lot of people that ended up back at the resort waiting for their mobile order, and dinner took about an hour that night to wait on it. We're hungry, we're tired, we were kind of ready to eat. So after that evening, I made an additional reservation at the Boathouse for the following night. So that was our fourth sit-down reservation on the trip. The rest of the time we ate either mobile ordering at Pop. We typically eat our breakfast at the resort that we're staying at, and then typically we eat lunches inside the theme parks, and then it's kind of a wild card for dinner. So that's what our kind of typical planning looks like. So for our first reservation, it was at the Edison. We had that on our first full day at Disney. When we first arrived at Pop, we ordered at the food court that night and got the pizza. Highly recommend it, and thought it was a great value for a family. We had tons left over and used it for like midday snacks later on when we come back for break, so it worked really well for that. And then the first full day we went to Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom closed a little bit early that day. I think it closed around 6 p.m. And so we had reservations at Edison at Disney Springs. We had enough time to get over there. Actually, I think it closed at 5 p.m. and our reservation was like 6:15. So plenty of time to get over there, get parked, go through all the screening, because they do have screening right now at Disney Springs, and walk over to the Edison. So it was our first time there. We loved the vibe. That's really the main reason I wanted to see the inside. So cool. I love the industrial aspect of it. My husband and I are very into that kind of, you know, industrial era look. And also they were playing like a house techno type of music, which is the type of music we listen to. So very kind of aligned with us. They did have a plant-based option, and the kids got kids meals. I wanted to try the Edison burgers. That was very, very good, and I enjoyed that. And we also got dessert as well, which was very good. So I mentioned anecdotally in the recap video that I had noticed when we were there, the whole time we were at Disney, all the frontline cast members had a certain specific shield that they kind of put down, and this was the same shield that the cast members at restaurants were wearing. It was kind of like from the top down. At the Edison, they had different shields. They were really interesting. We had great service there, and the shields flipped from the bottom up, and then they could kind of flip them down if they wanted, and so sometimes we saw them walking around with them down, sometimes they were up. And I just made an anecdotal comment like, oh, that's interesting, their shields are a little bit different, and we were just kind of, we look at the design of things, and so it became a topic of conversation. This is our lot. So I happened to anecdotally notice that, and that helped with something clicking later on in our trip, which I'll mention in this video too, but if you see the recap video, you know what I'm gonna mention. The Edison was really, really good. It wasn't that busy when we were there. We felt good about the social distancing. We were very spaced out from the other people there. When we came in for dinner, it was fairly quiet, and then, you know, as the evening progressed, it took about an hour for dinner. About 7 or 7:30, there was kind of a wild group of probably locals that had come in already a little bit tipsy / not really aware of their surroundings. And there were a number of families kind of sitting in our area, and they came in, they were pretty loud, a little belligerent, and just a little bit uncomfortable. Now trust me, I've been in my 20s. They're not going to offend me by anything that they were saying. My kids have probably heard some variation of all of this. That wasn't really what I was worried about. It just kind of ruins the vibe of your dinner when you go from having a really nice, like, sit down, like, chill, relaxed dinner to where there's like a, you know, college party vibe going on behind you, if you know what I mean. It was just a real, like, you know, dichotomy of the two vibes. And so, you know, after they got there, we kind of scooted out fairly quickly. I think my husband might have left a Google review about it. So that's, he's super into Google reviews, and that is what he does. He's like a Google guide. But anyhow, it kind of ruined the vibe for us a little bit to where we probably wouldn't go there at night anymore, which is unfortunate, or we wouldn't go there with our kids at night. But we love the vibe, you know, and it was very chill and very aligned with us. They had a number of good food offerings, but if you're looking for a really, really large menu, I thought that they had probably just like a few offerings that I really would have ordered. So that's the other reason where if we're looking for a restaurant that had a ton of offerings, we would maybe look for somewhere with a larger menu. But overall, I would eat there again. It was good food, good service, and we loved the vibe. So that was the first kind of sit-down dinner that we had. And then the next day we went to Hollywood Studios. We ate our breakfast again at Pop, because we typically always eat at the resort we're staying at for breakfast. It just is what works for us, unless we have a character breakfast booked, which obviously this trip we did not. And lunch that day we mobile ordered at Backlot Express, and that was convenient, really, really good. We enjoy eating there. We eat there a lot. The one thing that was amazing, and I wanted to circle back around and get a second one because it was so good, was the frozen apple cider. Now you have to like apple cider obviously to get this. It was a non-alcoholic drink, but it was frozen apple cider with a really cool ice cube in it and the little bubble tea things in there. Oh, it was so good. And it was amazing after a really hot day, and it was the favorite part of that meal for me. So I just wanted to mention that because I wanted to go get another one. We never made it back over there, but it was so good. I could have had like 3 of them that day, and it would have been amazing. And then for dinner that night, that was the night we actually ended up going back to Pop after Hollywood Studios was closed. And my husband got like the turkey sandwich or something. The kids got kids meals. I honestly don't remember what I got. But it was one of those, it was a blur because it was the night we had waited for an hour. And, you know, it's good when you don't have to wait, when it's like longer and you have to wait. We made the decision that the next night we would make an impromptu sit-down reservation. So that way we knew we kind of like had a seat and we didn't have to wait, hopefully, quite as long to get our food and all of that. So that's what we ended up doing for the following night because we had to wait so long for our mobile order that evening at Pop. So the next day was kind of like our off day, I guess you could say. It was a day we took as a rest day. We wanted to chill out. We wanted to try out the mini golf, which Natalie absolutely hated. So I don't know if we're ever going to do that again. And not that she hated this specific one. She just apparently is not a fan of golf in general. She was doing some interesting theatrics by the end of the course. And she lost her ball in the water like 4 times. But anyhow, really super hot this day too, which is worth mentioning. We again got breakfast at Pop that morning. For lunch that day, we went to Sanaa and we had lunch at Kidani Village. Really, really good lunch. and we enjoyed it. I really like the bread service there. The one big difference on this trip from a previous trip is I'm pretty sure my husband last time had ordered the burger when we were there, but since the last time that we had eaten there, my husband has started eating less meat. He's not gone completely meatless, but he eats a lot less meat. And he doesn't eat any red meat really anymore at all. He doesn't eat burgers, he doesn't eat steak, he doesn't eat any red meat really at all. He will eat some chicken, but he's very, very picky about it, and he will eat fish. They didn't have a fish that he could get, so that ruled out that. And so he felt very boxed in on what he could eat there. He felt like he didn't really have as many options this time around with his new diet. So I guess that's one thing to keep in mind. If you eat more meatless, he felt like there wasn't a ton of options on the Sanaa menu. And so he ended up getting a salad, and he thought it was really good. It just wasn't particularly what he's wanting. He was really wanting a fish, but they didn't have something available. So that was that lunch. It was really fun animal watching and being back over at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. And then that evening, we went back to Disney Springs. We had the dinner at the Boathouse where we booked it kind of at last minute. I believe our reservation was about 7:15 or so, which was not a big deal because we'd had a decent sized lunch in the middle of the day, so it wasn't a big deal. And so we went into the Boathouse, and I told the story in the recap as well, so I'll try to keep it short, but really beautiful decor, and they did ask us if we wanted to sit inside or outside. I said inside because it's really hot. I was having a heat reaction that I sometimes have when I'm in Florida by this point. So I said inside, not really thinking about it because I wanted to be in the air conditioning. But we ended up in the back room, and I kind of realized as I was looking around, it was really loud and crowded, and the kind of that background noise of like a lot of people talking. So I got the lobster Oscar. Dan got the chopped salad. Isabella got it's
a wedge salad.
A wedge salad. And Annalise got a chicken sandwich coming, but she's already getting started with their watermelon. Something started clicking, and I was like, wait a second, this is like the most crowded place we've been in the whole time. Then I'm like looking around, and none of the servers have shields on, which was just interesting because we had noticed the difference when we were at Edison earlier in the week. And so I'm like looking around, and it's really crowded, and all of the servers and staff there had masks on, but no one had the plastic shields. So I'm just noticing this and thinking it's very interesting, and I'm like, none of the cast members, like at the Disney, places that we eat in, like literally Sanaa early that day, they all had the same exact shields on. And so I was just kind of simmering with it. It was super crowded. Our food was great. Our service was amazing. It took about 2 hours to eat, to the point where we were like literally like running over to World of Disney to like run in there real quick before they closed. We got there like at 7:15, and it took, I don't think we got out of there till like 9:30 or so. So they were busy. It was like regular times busy. It did not dawn on me till close to the end of the meal that some of these restaurants at Disney Springs, yes, they are in Disney property, so they have to adhere to Disney rules where masks are required at all places on property for both cast members, staff, and guests. But these particular places, Edison and the Boathouse, are owned by outside vendors. They're owned by outside companies. They're not Disney run. So they're on Disney property, but they can have their own protocols, their own capacity, and they're meeting Florida standards in addition to Disney standards. So they were wearing masks, but I believe setting their own capacity, and the servers didn't have shields, which I think is a twofold thing. I appreciate that Disney did that for the protection of their cast members, and I really appreciate that, and it was a consideration on whether we went to go visit in October or not. But I think it's also protection both ways, because obviously if you have a less protected cast member that is helping you, then it raises the risk for everyone. So it is keeping their protection in mind, but I think just for everyone it's safer as well. So with that in mind, we kind of made the decision that we won't be eating at Disney Springs or really any outside restaurant even here at home until this situation is kind of calmed down or over. We had kind of gone into this trip in mind that we were going to be 100% Disney parks, 100% Disney restaurants, and the fact that those particular restaurants were owned by outside companies had just escaped me. And so going forwards, I'm assuming we'll probably have at least one more trip where we'll be under these kind of COVID restrictions and that sort of thing. Our plan is to, on that trip or trips in the future, to only eat inside Disney resorts or inside the theme parks. A 100% Disney restaurant experience. So that's our plan going forwards. Would I eat there again with the COVID, you know, being taken out of the scenario? Yes, I probably would. I would probably sit outside if it wasn't so hot. And we did not, someone mentioned a, you know, super dessert they had. We did not try that just simply because our meal took so long that we just wanted to try to get out of there at that point to go to World of Disney and kind of finish up our shopping for the day. But it was a good meal. Eventually, I think we may try it again at some point. So that was that experience. And then on our last day, we actually ate all of our meals inside Magic Kingdom. This was the one day we got up and we got a little snack. I usually bring Go Squeezes and stuff like that with me. We had breakfast at Sleepy Hollow inside Magic Kingdom. It was amazing, and definitely we'll eat breakfast there again. I got the pumpkin spice sundae, which was so good. One of the best things I ate on the trip. It was really good. And the kids got, Isabella got the fruit waffle with the Nutella in it. Natalie got the strawberry waffle. We kind of divided that up between them and Dan. And everyone loved it. And even my husband said, we'll have to go back there for breakfast sometime because it was really good and everyone enjoyed it. So breakfast started out really good that day. For lunch, we had mobile ordering at Cosmic Rays. We eat at Cosmic Rays a lot. It was interesting to see the changes for mobile ordering. Now you kind of order, wait outside, then when your order's up, you show it to the cast members, you go inside to your mobile ordering number and pick it up at one of the stands where you traditionally would have stood there and ordered and then gone to the counter. That's all been changed into mobile ordering. I really like it. It was easy. It was really limited seating, but luckily we did get a seat. Someone got up, my husband had gotten it when I was getting the food. And really good. I got the Greek salad with chicken. I've gotten that before. I'm pretty sure Dan got the meatless sloppy joes, which he's gotten before, really likes those. And the kids eat chicken nuggets for like every single meal. So that's that. So that was a really great meal. And then in the evening, we had a reservation right at closing time at Tony's Town Tavern, right at the square there where the firehouse is, right across when Mickey and Tinkerbell normally were meeting, right over there in that building. Walked past it like tons of times in my life, right? But I've never eaten there. So I was really interested to try this one. I really wanted to try it. What had caught my eye is I'd seen a picture of all things the bread that you get at the beginning of your meal. I was like, oh, that looks really good. We should try that. My husband loves Italian food, and so I thought, well, this will be something different that we can do. And I happened to get a reservation right at closing time. It was really cool as it turned out because not only were we there a little bit beyond closing, because obviously our reservation was right before closing, so we had the time to eat our meal, and then when we came out, there was still actually a lot of people in the theme park, but it had lessened quite a bit. So we were able to get a couple pictures on Main Street before we left, and you know, we did try to hustle because I know cast members want to go home eventually. But for the food at Tony's, I thought it was really good. Now, it was good, like regular Italian restaurant food. So do with that what you will. Like, I was not going in, it was like your moderate level of dining. If you want to put it in value, moderate, and deluxe, I would consider it moderate level dining. And I thought it was really good for the amount that we paid. It was not a $200 meal. I think that we probably paid around $90 for the four of us, which in Disney prices is not that bad for dinner. At home, I would never pay $90 for a dinner for us. But at Disney, it's like $90, it's not $200. That's great. So we thought the food was good. The kids' pizzas, they got these cute little desserts that had Lady and the Tramp on them. So cute. They loved their food. I got the shrimp and it was really good. I would absolutely get it again. I think my husband got a sort of pasta as well. The sun just went behind a cloud, so the lighting probably just all changed. But it was really good. I would definitely eat there again. And as an added bonus, because we were there at closing time, we got to see all the characters waving at the train station as everyone was exiting. So that was just a fun part to end our evening. So hopefully that kind of answers any questions you had about the different places that we ate on this trip. So we did not book any character meals on this trip. There are a few character meal experiences that are open with socially distanced character experiences at those meals. Topolino's Terrace is one of those at Riviera. Absolutely would eat there again, and definitely would eat there with the characters, you know, doing their socially distance. They kind of stand at a distance and you can kind of like take a picture or video them going by. So I do think that we will do character meals while, you know, if we're still under, you know, say COVID restrictions for another year. And we decide we want to eat at Topolino's Terrace. Would I do that next year? Absolutely. I just wanted to try some different things on this trip. This trip really had a different intent of really kind of feeling out what was going to work for our family with current conditions. So would I personally book a character experience right now like they have at Topolino's Terrace or Garden Grill, or one of the places that is having kind of the altered socially distanced character experiences? Absolutely. Because I still think it's a really cool way to see a number of characters without having to stand in line. And also it's just kind of fun to do it while you're eating, and it's just kind of that joyful experience. We also really love Topolino's Terrace, so I would definitely eat there again. And I also really love the characters' outfits there. So I think that one definitely, especially, is very high on my list that we might even do on one of our next upcoming trips, especially even if COVID restrictions are going on, because I think it's a fun way to interact with characters at a distance and still have a fun meal. So that's kind of my experience with dining on this most recent trip, what I'm kind of thinking about as we look ahead. And just personal opinion, you know, take this with a grain of salt, because who knows what's going to happen with this whole situation. But I do feel like probably a number of the COVID procedures and protocols will probably be in place throughout 2021. So I'm just kind of planning and thinking ahead for what our next trip probably will be with all of these same protocols or an altered version of them in place. So now that we've been and I have a really good idea of the vibe and the feel, what's expected of us,